going on, Jerome's? Mercifully, the NFL draft is drawing ever closer and crazy, but that's how it goes. It is certainly going to be looked to make a move for finding the quarterback of the future, but that's been talked about to death. But there are several other moves that the Minnesota Vikings could and should make during the NFL draft, and you see it every year, where there's always a handful of trades. Some players, some established veterans are moved, some draft picks are recycled through to future years, and some players are sent to other teams where the new team is like, mama, I can change him. So I think the Vikings will make several moves outside of quarterback. So here are 7 draft day trades for the Minnesota Vikings. First up, numero uno, trade for Cleveland cornerback Greg Newsome II. Now, Newsome reportedly has been on the trade block for some time now, because the Browns, they do have Denzel Ward, superstar. Martin Emerson has stepped up very nicely. So Newsome could be the odd man out, especially as the Browns head towards a bit of a cap crunch coming up. Also with the Watson contract. But of course, Andrew Berry, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah are like this. And the Vikings and Flores, you can never have enough good corners. And I love Newsome coming out of Northwestern. Absolutely feisty, absolutely a guy that gets after it. 6'1", $192, is only 23 years old, was the number 26 overall pick in 2021. Now, trade comp-wise, I feel like his value is going to be diminished throughout the draft. And now, could you get it done for a 4 or 5? I mean, it's possible. And also, the Vikings having 7 picks day 3 certainly gives them some flexibility, where they can trade picks for players. They can stick and pick. They can trade for future picks. They can do a lot of things. They can use them to move up. This certainly could do a lot of things with this bounty of picks on day 3. But for me, like Greg Newsome would add some great depth to the cornerback room. And also, as the Vikings are cycling through, because I feel like there's some high draft picks at corner that the Vikings could be parting ways with, which we'll get to in a second. But Newsome II would be a dog. I love him, man. Next up, another one of my favorite players. Trade a 4th-round pick for Seattle center Olu Utimi. All right, so now new coaching staff, new regime in Seattle. Yes, Schneider's there, and he's the guy who drafted him, but whatever. But Olu Utimi, so he was the OG Michigan center that I love. And Michigan has been very good about getting transfer centers. So they got Drake Nugent coming in from Stanford, and now you got Olu Utimi, who was at Virginia, and then came into Michigan and was an absolute pivot man for that Michigan team that ultimately fell short in the college football playoff. But also, on the left, picture future Minnesota Viking, future All-Pro, future multiple Super Bowl winner, and J.J. McCarthy and his sophomore ass. There you go. But Olu Utimi, he's got size, he's got decent movement skills, and he's got anchor, he's got leadership, he's got ass, he's got everything, man. And Seattle made him a 5th-round pick in 2023. Only played 128 snaps on offense over 4 games, 1 pressure allowed on 70 pass blocking reps. Now, they could potentially see him in the starting mix this year, but like we said, a new coaching staff, new regime, new everything. So give it to me. Give it to me. And like we said, the Vikings do have multiple day 3 selections. So 129 for Olu Utimi. You already upgrade that from he was a 5th-round pick. You get a 4th. Let's go. Let's go get it. And frankly, just start him. Just start him right away. Get rid of Bradbury. Don't care. Next up, trade number 3 for the Vikings. Day 3 picks for 2025 selections. Now, the Vikings are down a 2nd-rounder as well as a 7th-rounder in 2025. And like we said, the Vikings, with so many damn draft picks, day 3, they, of course, could use them on players because depth is very important, as well as they could gamble on medical guys, trait-based guys that haven't had that production. They certainly could do that. They could use them for trade-ups, but also they could roll them over to the future. And the general rule of thumb is, if you're trading a mid-round pick for one of next year's picks, you move up around. So the Vikings could trade one of the 4th-round picks for a 2025 3rd-rounder, trade one of the 5th-round picks this year for a 2025 4th-rounder, etc. And the Vikings, they could be in a spot, too, where Well, so if the Vikings do trade up for a quarterback, 11, 23, and a future first or the future third, acquiring those picks next year to take some of the sting out of being down either a first and a second or a second and a third certainly could do that. But also the other side of the coin, I mean, the Vikings, if they combine 11, 23 to one pick, I mean, it would be nice to supplement with 7 selections day 3. So you do see both sides of it in that spot. But like I said, if it comes up to a spot on the board where you don't have a clear guy that you like or love, potentially moving down with another team into next year and acquiring future draft capital, usually never a bad idea. Next up, number 4, yes, Booth and Evans for draft picks. So Andrew Booth Jr. Was a second-round pick, number 42 overall in 2022. He was Kwesi's second pick as the GM of the Vikings. Caleb Evans, fourth-rounder out of Mizzou, formerly at Tulsa. Now, Booth hasn't really found his footing, and Evans has found some decent success in 2022 as a rookie before he had all the concussions. Last year he started but was benched several times, and just reading between the lines with Flores, where he said consistency, but the Vikings potentially adding new corners, especially with Flores having a larger input on the draft and free agency, and also the Vikings with Mekhi Blackman looking really good, last year's third-round pick out of USC, Shaq Griffin being brought in, the Vikings potentially even going after a cornerback like Terry Arnold in the first round, so it could make Booth and Evans expendable. Now, Evans does have starting experience, and also Booth Jr. having that draft pedigree at 42 overall. Of course, other teams, besides the Vikings, other teams also can be like, mama, I can change him. And also it could be a spot where Evans and Booth could benefit from moving on out. Now, Vikings probably won't get a ton in draft comp, maybe some day 3 selections, or just like we said about acquiring 2025 picks. It could be that sort of situation. Next up, number 5, Lewis Cine for draft picks. All right, so Lewis Cine, everyone and their mom talks about, Kyle Hamilton. I get it, fully understand that. But if Cine hadn't broken his leg as a rookie, would things be different? Sure, but also it's a spot too where the Vikings probably have the deepest safety room in the National Football League, and also the fact that Jay Ward and Theo Jackson are fantastic on special teams. It could be a spot where Lewis Cine, former first-round pick, could be a healthy scratch on most game days, absent any injuries, knocking on all the wood. And I know people piss and moan about that. It's like, well, Lewis Cine's a first-round pick. He should be on the field. So you're telling me, so Harrison Smith, stud, still has it. Beasley and Metellus played at a Pro Bowl level last year. Jay Ward and Theo Jackson play great special teams and are rising up. So one of those guys should sit their ass on the bench, not through merit, but because Lewis Cine was a first-round pick. That's dumb logic. That's idiocy. But yeah, Lewis Cine, injury put him behind the 8 ball, and he's not panning out on his first-round pedigree. Yes, he was 32 overall, but I mean, get Howie Roseman on the phone. He loves Georgia defenders. Like, I feel like Lewis Cine would be the last Infinity Stone on his Georgia glove. So get that. I've never seen that movie. I haven't seen a lot of movies that people have. People got so mad that I haven't seen Die Hard in its entirety. Crazy, man. But yeah, Lewis Cine, could you get like a mid-round pick, a late-round pick, a 2025 pick for him? Who knows, man. Next up, number 6, don't trade Nick Mullens. So sometimes the best trade that you make is a trade that you don't make. And I fully understand that the Vikings are probably going to bring in a quarterback, a TBD. You also have Sam Darnold on a $10 million deal. You also have Jaron Hall here in year 2. But so Mullens has been here basically the duration of the O'Connell regime. He was traded right before the season from the Raiders in 2022, and he knows the offense. He's been in the meeting rooms. He now is the elder statesman with the team, and also he proved last year that he can move the offense. Like, he can get the ball to JJ, and also not in a hospital ball spot. And also he put up 400 yards passing almost in multiple games. So as last year proved around the league, having multiple quarterbacks that you can trust is important. And also with the new third quarterback rule where the third quarterback can be on the practice squad, that does have some value too. And still with the expanded Rona practice squads at 16, I do think that the Vikings will find a way to keep Darnold, rookie, Mullens, and Jaron Hall in the sphere. Probably a rookie and Darnold on the 53, Nick Mullens on the practice squad. Same thing with Jaron Hall. Or maybe they have to keep Mullens on the 53 because they're worried about him getting poached if they don't protect him. So now, hang on to your veteran quarterbacks, especially ones that have proven that when the ish hits the fan, they can get things done. So hang on to Nick Mullens. Lastly, trade for Denver cornerback Patrick Surtain II. Now, I know what you're saying. This is going to be tough because Surtain is one of the rare true blue cornerback one, travel with the other team's wide receiver one, belt buckle, shut down corners, right? And he's going to be expensive. But here's a specific situation. So say that a certain quarterback falls to 11 that the Denver Broncos are all in on. They have to have him. They got full stupid ass Sean Payton, full on 6 to midnight for this quarterback, and the Vikings are like, eh. All right, so say hypothetically, JJ McCarthy gets to 11. Pretty unlikely, but just say hypothetically, right? And the Broncos and the Raiders certainly could do the leapfrog thing, right? But say that that quarterback gets to 11. And say that the Vikings, they like him, but also they're perfectly fine with Michael Penix Jr., where Broncos are all in. McCarthy, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. So the Vikings call up jumping George Payton, for our former guy. What's up? How do you still have a job? You are a terrible GM. Click. Anyways, hey, Georgie Porgy. So we're going to take McCarthy at 11. If you don't give us Patrick Surtain II in a trade up, and then you could take McCarthy at 11, and we'll just take Penix Jr. at 12. That's what we're going to do. I'll hang up and listen. Click. That's the very specific situation. Now, ideally, the Vikings wouldn't have to give up first, but, Surtain is sexy time. Just imagine. So you're taking away a third or a half of the field every single time. You're neutralizing wide receiver ones. And imagine what Flores can do with that level of luxury. Ay Dios mío. But either way, the name of the game is to improve in the draft. And yeah, draft picks are fantastic, but the raffle tickets. And I know that, hey, Newsome II could be expensive. Same thing with Surtain. But they've already established that they are damn good at what they do. I don't understand why Newsome is the odd man out. Said 69 plus PFF coverage grade through his last 3 seasons, inside-outside versatility. And also, it may just be a little bit of draft crush gone awry with Olu Utimi, but I do not care. Acquire him. Go get him. And the Vikings do have significant draft capital day 3. They can either stick and pick and take their guys or roll that over into 2025 when they're a little bit short of draft capital as it is. So either way. And also, what's important too, so Newsome heading to year 4, same thing with Surtain, and they're going to be due a big payday very soon. But the Vikings do have the cap space to get that thing done, as well as Jefferson, as well as Darrisaw, as well as Sam Darnold extension. We'll see. Anyways, your thoughts are thoughts. 7 draft day trade. 7 non-quarterback draft day trades for the Vikings. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.